Hello there, and welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk About American History. You know what that means. Pilgrims and boats and John Smith and Jamestown and Puritans and Plymouth and eating corn together and celebrating the first Thanksgiving. But what happened before all of that? What civilizations existed in the Americas before then, and what makes them civilized? We interact with elements of civilization every day, but some of the most important ones are language and writing systems. With a writing system, progress is faster because information is easier to keep around. It doesn't have to be spread orally, so knowledge can amass for longer periods of time. Calendar systems can be perfected for hundreds or thousands of years without the worry that they'll be lost to, well, history. Writing evolved independently at least twice, in Mesopotamia and in Mesoamerica, or maybe 3 or even 6 times, depending on who you ask. Historians have a hard time determining the exact dates of Mesoamerican texts, so it's hard to tell who first invented writing there, but the most expansive writing system in the area was that of the Maya. Of the thousands of Maya texts that existed pre-contact, only 4 remain today, the rest being destroyed during the Spanish conquest. These book-like texts are called codices, singular codex. Most are in bad condition and don't contain much readable script. Clearly, researchers haven't had a lot of text to work with when deciphering the language, which makes it even more impressive that as of 2008, scholars could understand more than 90% of Mayan script, especially since many experts in the 1950s didn't even think the language was decipherable at all. What made the language so difficult to figure out? The answer was a fundamental misunderstanding of how the Mayan language worked. The first outside individual to try and understand Maya script was ironically Bishop Diego Jolanda, the Spanish priest who ordered the conquistadors to burn all of the precious Maya codices in 1562, calling them superstition and lies of the devil. Jolanda asked Mayan informants to write out the Mayan equivalents of the Spanish letters, A, B, C, etc., and then recorded their answers as the Mayan alphabet. Jolanda threw off historians and linguists alike for almost 400 years. Jolanda's error was that the Mayan system was not alphabetical, but logographic, meaning that instead of sounds, different glyphs stood for different words. They also had a syllabary, with different glyphs to represent different syllables. When he asked, "What's the Spanish letter B in Mayan?" they wrote down the sign for the syllable B. Because ideas could be expressed using either a singular glyph or a series of syllabic glyphs compiled together, writing was very creative. For example, the Mayan word for mountain is huitz. This could be written simply as the sign meaning mountain. This is called a logogram, and it has no relation to the actual sound of the word. It could also be written as a series of syllables. Here we have the glyphs for the wi syllable and the tsi syllable, which in context can be pronounced just as ts. As with many other logographic languages, sometimes a logogram can be used in partnership with a syllabic symbol. Memorizing all the logograms is difficult, so having phonetic aids makes it easier to read. In this case, the symbol for wi is combined with a logogram for mountain, but it's horizontal instead of vertical. The way that syllabic and logographic signs were combined and contrasted added a huge creative element to the Mayan writing system. There are up to 4 different signs for just one syllable, so the personal preferences of the scribes had a huge influence on how things were written, due to what they thought looked nice or just liked better. This script was used not only for tracking the stars and keeping the date, like Sir Eric Thompson, one of the greatest Mayan historians, believed, but also for writing about their history. Thompson believed Maya to just be peaceful scientists who only used writing very clinically. Evidence in the last 20 or so years has shown that that was not the case. Familiarly, the Maya had dynasties and battling royal families, wars and strategic marriages, some of which were recorded on stelae, or large stone monuments honoring rulers and describing what occurred during their reigns, or large stone panels depicting historical scenes. Writing was used by artists to sign their work, and as labels for pottery saying what it contained. Writing described religious practices and dedicated temples to gods. In many ways, Mayan writing and language was just as complex as our own. The creativity of their writing system allowed them even more freedom to express themselves in nuanced ways. Jolanda may have killed Mayan writing and culture in 1562, but traces of the society live on. giving us insight into how language can show just how civilized the uncivilized world really was.